What's up, Knicks fans? We finally got to see some Knicks basketball, preseason basketball. Let's briefly go over that game, and then we'll talk about the season outlook.
Let's run that intro.
They're playing basketball.
You're listening to the Knicks Nation podcast, where we've got all your Knicks needs covered.
Puts up a three. Bang! Bang! He ties the game!
Now, live from the city that never sleeps, here are your hosts, Anthony and Chris.
What's going on, Knicks Nation? Welcome to another Knicks Nation podcast. This is episode 82 of the Knicks Nation podcast. Just coming off a Knicks preseason game down in Charlotte. The guys are coming back to the New York area. They've been in Charleston during the training camp, so I'm sure they're happy to be back. But we'll talk about some of the preseason game, some of the things we like, some of the things, that are interesting and may come up as the season progresses. But Chris, what's going on? How'd you like that Knick game?
It was interesting. It was interesting. Obviously, first look at Cat, right off the bat. Saw some things I liked. And obviously, seeing the rest of the guys, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, not starting at the 2, actually starting at the 3, which I thought was pretty interesting. But, saw some good things, saw some bad things. We have some reactions here, but how are you feeling tonight, Ann? What was your what stood out to you the most this first preseason game?
What stood out to me the most? Look, it's the first preseason game. I don't want to look. There's a lot of new within the Knicks starting lineup. We saw some great things from Karl-Anthony Towns. We saw what he can provide. Low post game, his shot. He nailed a splasher shot from like 30 feet. So we're going to see a lot of that. And we saw some good Jalen Brunson look like Jalen Brunson. But I was really intrigued to watch Cat, and I was really intrigued to watch kind of how Mikal can fit in this offense. And kind of what I took from it is that it's going to take some time to get Mikal situated and adjusted to this offense, because it's going to take him a while to kind of pick his spots on the court. And so I'm interested in seeing how quickly the Knicks can pick that up and how quickly they can get going in that front. So those are just some of the things. And then, of course, Deuce McBride and Tyler Kolek, which we can get to in a second. But, yeah, those are some of the things I noticed.
Yeah, I agree. Mikal Bridges, I mean, look, it was a really underwhelming, debut for him. But, again, it's the preseason. Guys are out there trying to work on things. And, obviously, all these guys are trying to gel together. Yeah. Haven't played together yet until tonight. So it looked a little rough at times. And Bridges, didn't look great. Let's just put it that way. He tried to find the spots here and there, but that's going to take time. And that's exactly why you want these guys out there right now, and knowing Tibbs, he probably wanted to run them out there the entire game. But you know what? Let's just be happy that everybody made it out healthy, because we did have a little scare. I saw your post, and when you said the OG Anunoby scream, I felt it too, man. I was every time he hit the floor, man, just like, you know what, just get up. Let's just end this healthy. But yeah, man, Mikal Bridges, underwhelming debut, but I'm sure it'll get better.
That's the thing with OG Anunoby. It's just the health with him. I think he kind of twisted his ankle, but he stayed in the game early on. So yeah, I mean, it's good to see the guys back. It's good to see Knicks basketball on our screens. We've been waiting for so long for New York Knicks basketball, and it's finally here. And like 40% of the starting lineup is new. So like we've been saying, I mean, Mikal was kind of – I'm not worried about Mikal. I mean, I'll talk about like why I do think Mikal Bridges is kind of important for this Knicks team because of his scoring. I think he needs to have a good scoring season with the New York Knicks, simply due to the fact that, Dante is no longer a Knick. And, Cat's going to do his thing. Brunson's going to do his thing. OG's going to have his nights. But Mikal, I think, needs to be a consistently 20 to 25 point scorer a game for this team. And he's done it in the past. He's done it in, I think, his first full year with Brooklyn. He's done that. And that's what I want out of Mikal Bridges this year. And I think he's going to need to have a good offensive year for this Knicks team. So I know it's so early. I mean, it's preseason. I mean, I keep saying it's so early. It's one game of preseason. Look, Cat just got here a few days ago. So, and what we saw from Cat was good. So, I mean, but the rebounding, I thought, like we talked about in the Karl Anthony Towns player preview, Chris, the rebounding I do think is going to be kind of an issue for this team. The offensive glass as well, especially the offensive glass. So that is where one area that kind of concerns me is the rebounding for this team.
Yeah, I agree. That was something we spoke about, obviously. And look, hoping that Towns kind of goes in there and he hasn't done it since his first couple of years in the league, but he was capable of getting boards at a high rate. Now, not so much. He kind of averages like 6 or 7, I believe. So it's going to be a team effort. That's one thing. You saw OG Anunoby kind of making it a point early on to grab boards. And we saw Jericho Sims, out of all people. Hey, he had 5 offensive rebounds, 5 defensive rebounds. So maybe that's how Jericho Sims makes a mark on this roster, goes out there and just tries his best to get every offensive board, every defensive board he can. But yeah, that's going to be a concern for me. And another concern for me is going to be, rim protection. We don't have Mitch out there to block shots. I mean, Cat can give you a couple, maybe 1 or 2, but we don't have iHeart in the paint anymore, literally contesting every shot. Same thing with Mitch, contesting every shot, able to get you those blocks. So those 2 areas I think are going to be, 2 of the most pressing issues for the Knicks going forward.
Yeah. And, I came into this game thinking, like, how would Tom Thibodeau kind of work the bench? How would he kind of mix and match the bench unit? So he quickly subbed out Mikal Bridges, and Deuce McBride was in there along with Campaign. You had Precious, you had Jericho. So pretty much the bench unit played in sequences. I do not expect that to happen during the season. I do think you're going to see some of the starters mixing and matching. But Deuce McBride, man, I mean, I think he is so important to this team. I think, this season, I said it in the post game, I think he's going to I think the Knicks are going to need to have him have a good season. And I don't know, man, his 6th man of the year, that could be in the cards for Deuce McBride. I mean, look, I don't know, Chris. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but he looked good, man. He looked good, Deuce McBride. So
he did. I mean, that was one of my bright spots. I literally have it written down: Deuce McBride overreaction, because he literally balled out. Kind of picked up where he left off. Right, obviously had a strong playoff, and he's back. Here's again preseason as well, but had a really, really strong game off the bench. And we're going to need that, especially with the departure of Dante DiVincenzo. So, McBride did his best to help me, kind of get over the fact that we don't have Dante anymore. But he looked good, man. He looked good. He was out there. He was running the show. He was aggressive. And most importantly, I keep saying this about Deuce McBride, he looked confident.
Yeah, he did. And look, Campaign came in, kind of settled the things, kind of like pretty much won the game for the Knicks. Hit that big 3. But I think his veteran presence, along with Deuce McBride in that second bench unit, is going to be important for this team. And Tom Thibodeau talked about how he liked the speed of this new look bench. Pretty much. I mean, you had Shamet too. Shamet had a good game, great game, coming out party, and the Knicks are going to need his shooting and his scoring. And Shamet is another high IQ player, so. The bench, I think a lot of the Knicks fans' concerns was the depth. And Tom Thibodeau has kind of been calming everyone down, saying, I like the bench, I like our depth. And once, everything falls into place, once you stagger some of the starters with the bench, he feels like we will have a good bench. And so do I. But, Tyler Kolek came in here today, and we saw great things from Kolek, pretty much similar things what we saw in Summer League. And, Thibodeau kind of, after the game, he said, Kolek did some great things, but I also like what our bench did as well. So I'm not sure Tyler Kolek is going to be in this rotation, Chris. I think it'll take him some time, but a lot of Knicks fans want to see him play, and he's another high IQ player. Saw him with the pick and roll with Precious, made a nice slip pass to Precious. So I see the Knicks' vision when they're saying like, look, we can replace the loss of Dante with certain guys, and with staggering in the bench unit as well. I see what they're saying, and first preseason game was, a success in my opinion. No one got hurt, and everyone came out healthy. And the Knicks starters played the first half, and I think as time goes on, it'll gradually improve. But yeah, I mean the bench has been kind of like the sticking point. So Kolick, Deuce, Payne, all look good. All look good.
Yeah.
Great showing from them.
Yeah. The bench play, especially early on in this preseason game, had me excited.
Yeah.
Because that was one of my biggest concerns. You lose Dante DiVincenzo, you're talking about literally a flamethrower who was starting for the Knicks and was supposed to be coming off the bench this season, obviously with the new additions we have. And that was a big loss. But watching campaign out there with Landry Shamet, and they had really good chemistry together. Obviously, they played together in the past, I believe in Phoenix. They looked really good. And the bench unit, of course, we just spoke on Deuce McBride as well. But they all looked great, down to Precious. I thought Precious looked really good. Like, also another guy who just came in here preseason and kind of picked up where he left off. So I think Precious is going to be another guy who is going to be really important for us down the stretch of this.
Yeah.
That was a lot of people were like, we re-signed Precious. It is what it is. But I think he's going to be a good piece for us, man.
He is, because if you really look at our depth behind Karl Anthony Towns, it's Jericho Sims and Precious. I'm not sure if that'll kind of shrink. I'm not sure if Dibs will consistently play Jericho Sims, but Sims had a good game in terms of he had 5 offensive rebounds, so maybe he can kind of coming off the bench provide a little spark in terms of grabbing boards and whatnot. But yeah, Precious is going to be important to this team. He had great stretches last season. Kind of got to solidify the depth in terms of the front court off the bench, and until Mitchell Robinson comes back. And we talked about when Mitchell Robinson coming back, if we would start him with Towns or if we would have him come off the bench. I'm kind of more leaning towards starting with Towns. I am, but we cross that bridge when we get there. Right now, what we saw today. Hart in the starting lineup with OG, Brunson, Mikal, Towns. That is going to be the starting lineup moving forward. And you just have to work together in terms of like finding each other's spots. I think that's going to take some time. I mean, Mikal is, a gifted scorer, and it's going to take some time for him to find his spots within this offense. OG Anunoby, he's a cutter. He's a slasher. He can also great corner 3-point shooter on this team. So it's going to take some time for the guys, but I think all in all, the first pretty much preseason dance was a success. We saw great things out there and total team effort, and it's rock on, baby. Knicks basketball is back. Let's go.
I know a lot of fans wanted to see the Knicks go out there and just blow the doors off the Hornets from the jump. Hell, I wanted to see it. I'm sure you did too, man. But look, man, we all knew what we were getting into. Obviously, Cat showing up, 5 days ago. It's going to take time. It's going to take time for these guys to gel together. And all in all, I don't think it was that bad. Obviously, guys didn't perform to their expectation, but this is exactly what the preseason is for.
Yes, sir. All right. The main crux of this episode is the Knicks season outlook. So what we're going to do is pretty much go over what we think the Knicks need to do to become a championship level team. So glimpses of it tonight, and as time goes on until that matchup versus Celtics in a few weeks, that's crazy, by the way. It's coming up quickly, but time isn't really on your side. You got to gel quickly. But yeah, Chris, pretty much I absolutely love this team. I love what Leon Rose has kind of built here, and it's obviously led by Jalen Brunson. Well, Jalen Brunson looked good, great. His hand was all concern, right? And looked like Jalen Brunson, not a concern.
All you could say, Jalen Brunson looked like Jalen Brunson. Hit one of his first shots was a 3. Hit it. He looked good, man. He looked good. Exactly what you wanted to see. And again, healthy. Stay healthy.
Yes, sir. So I kind of want to go back to the Mikal Bridges, because I really do think, Chris, he is so, like, his scoring is going to be huge for the Knicks. Now, I know what a lot of people are going to say during this preseason game. Mikal didn't really score the ball, and the Knicks still were able to run their offense like a well-oiled machine. But I do think Mikal is going to have to provide, 20 to 25 points, like I said it before, along with OG, maybe 15 points a game. Because I keep going back to Dante, and I hate doing it. But, a lot of situations where Dante bailed us out last year where the offense would become stagnant. Certain situations, just the things weren't clicking on offense. I think Mikal Bridges is, going to be that offensive punch that's going to kind of combat that, along with Cat. But I don't know. I'm intrigued to watch Mikal. I really am, because I'm intrigued to watch where he finds his shots within this offense, because he's another learner. He's coachable. So I'm intrigued to watch Mikal. But yeah, just talk about Bridges and what you think you expect from him this season in terms of shooting. Expect a good offensive season.
I think he's gonna be. I think he's gonna be fine, man. We saw early on in this preseason he was being a little bit aggressive, especially in the mid range. He was taking a few. They looked kind of wild, but look, that's actually Mikal Bridges' game. He takes a lot of turnarounds. He can shoot off the dribble. He wasn't hitting them. He wasn't hitting them, but I think that's where he's gonna pick his spots. And I actually did like Josh Hart in the starting lineup for the fact that he pushes the pace. So I think that in tandem with Mikal Bridges is going to be where he kind of gets his spots, on the fast break. Mikal Bridges can, slide over to the corner three or something like that. But in my opinion, I think Mikal Bridges is going to be fine. It's really easy to overreact to just one preseason game where he looked kind of lost out there. Let's be real. But the shots that he did take, I saw was mostly, in the mid range. He did get a couple of looks from, actually he only had one look from the three. So in my opinion, that's going to be where he lives. I mean, that's his bread and butter, and that's where you want him to take his shots either way.
Yeah. Like Tony said, what's going on, everyone in the chat? Like Tony says in the chat, the starting five wasn't going to look good. Its entire new starting lineup, Bridges and Hart, will be fine. I definitely don't want the offense with Cat taking a lot of threes. Yeah. But Cat showed a lot during his first preseason game. His low post game, his shot was amazing, his passing. So Cat is going to be amazing. I'm not worried about Cat. But, Mikal and OG are going to have to kind of find themselves kind of complementing Cat and Brunson, because those are the two that are going to take majority of the shots within this offense, Cat and Brunson. So the complement pieces around them is why we all think the Knicks can make it super far this year. So so I'm just so intrigued to watch how that transpires. But I'm not worried about that at all. I'm not worried.
Yeah. I think, again, even with OG Anunoby, we all know what he brings to the table. He's basically here for defense. Obviously, he hits the corner three at a high rate. That's going to be there for him, I think, all the time, especially when you have Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, and Mikal Bridges out there. Yeah. The extra from the OG Anunoby would be, him dribble driving, dunking on somebody, things like that. So I know OG Anunoby, like you mentioned, 15 points. I think that's reasonable for him. Mikal Bridges getting 25, 26, 28 points. I could see it, but I think 20 points even would be enough from Mikal Bridges.
So do I.
But I do agree. I do not want to see Karl Anthony Towns taking, 10 threes and just hanging around on the perimeter, because I do think we're going to need to have him down low, banging in the paint, being able to utilize that passing skill. So when guys try to double him, we can kick it out and have an easy 3-point shot, Yeah. So that, while I do know Cat can shoot the three ball and hit it at a high rate, 41% from three, I want to see him get down in the paint and actually play that big man role. Traditional big man role, I should say.
And he did it during the first preseason game. He's been doing it his entire career. And, we're excited to watch that as well. And, it's just a lot of different. I guess the point where I'm trying to get at, and we're trying to get at, is there's like a lot of different pieces where you're excited to watch. You're excited to watch Mikal take this leap on offense. You're excited to watch the pick and rolls with Brunson and Cat, and OG and Obi hopefully take another leap. We all know what he can bring. I'm just excited to watch everything click. It's gonna take. It's not gonna happen overnight. It's not gonna happen like the OG and Obi trade in January. It's not gonna happen like that. It might take some time, but we're on the right track. So Chris, when Tyler Kolek came in the game, I don't know. I think I'm gonna like Tyler Kolek and Deuce McBride playing a lot, because those two kind of like complement each other in like this intriguing way. It's I don't know how to explain it, but I liked what I saw from Kolek tonight, and that's why the Knicks paid him that guaranteed money, the most in second round history, all that guaranteed money. Do you expect Kolek to come in here and be in the rotation to start off the season? I don't know, man. I feel like this kid got to play.
I don't think so. I mean, early on, obviously I like Tyler Kolek a lot. With this preseason game, he had 11 points. He went 3 of 5 from 3. Actually, all his shots came from the 3-point. And look, he looked great out there. Had an assist. He had 2 steals. He had a block in this game too. So showing you that he could play a little bit of defense. So the weird thing to me is that I don't think he gets minutes. It's been weird. Tom Thibodeau has been talking up other guys. Landry Shamet. Campaign, but he does not say much about Tyler Kolek, or at least I haven't seen him say much about Tyler Kolek.
Yeah.
So, I still think they're going to keep him back a little bit, kind of like the early Emmanuel Quickley days, right? Where Emmanuel Quickley was just kind of on the bench, absorbing everything, learning, I think that's going to be kind of what he gets. Do I think down the line, will he get an opportunity? I do think so. Especially if he keeps having games like he did today.
Yeah, and what impressed me most is 3-point ability. Look, in summer league we wanted him to kind of be more assertive on the offensive end, and his first preseason game, it's a preseason game, and the players out there, I know it's preseason, but look, the passing has always been there with Tyler Kolek, even in his college days has always been there with Tyler Kolek. But yeah, I kind of agree with you. I kind of think as the season progresses, we will eventually see Kolek. But in the beginning, I think there's going to be a lot of campaign with Shamet, with Deuce mixed in there, and with a starter mixed in with the bench shooting. I think in the beginning we're going to see that. Obviously, injuries happen. You never know. But I don't know. Like Nostalgic said in the chat, Kolek crew.
Yeah.
Hop on the train, man. Hop on the train.
He's definitely he has talent, and he has the talent.
Yeah.
You see it. You see it, whether it was summer league, and again I know summer league, but his assist to turnover ratio was amazing during summer league. And now preseason, playing against guys that are, obviously backups, but nonetheless he's an NBA rookie, right?
Yeah.
Going out there and hitting his shots from 3. That's always, especially in this day and age, that is always a positive. Being able to hit your 3s, especially as a rookie, is huge. So he showed out a little bit, on both sides of the floor. And I wouldn't be surprised if he continues playing like that. Maybe it won't take him that long before Tibbs is like, all right, I see you, Kolek. Let's get you in there.
I hope so.
But for now, he's going to be regulated to that bench.
Yeah, what's going on, Joel? Can't wait for the season to start. Yeah, can't wait for the season to start. We're kind of doing like a little post game after the next first preseason game, and kind of doing a season outlook, kind of talking through the roster at the moment. Appreciate every single one of you in here on this Sunday evening. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up button, and but yeah, I mean, so great things out of Kolek, great things out of Precious. We saw, I think he played the entire second half, if I'm not mistaken. So we didn't get to see Daddy A in the first preseason game, which was kind of surprising to me. We didn't get to see Huck Porty. Now those guys can play down the line, and maybe in the next preseason game those guys can play. But you kind of don't really expect much out of them. I mean, I know you and I were kind of like on the Hook Porty train, like, oh, I don't know, maybe Hook Porty can come in here and ball out, but that's just us being optimistic. But those guys are projects. They're all projects. But Kolek, like you said, man, I don't know. He's a project, but I think he's like this. Look, when Kolek was coming out, scouts were saying he's NBA ready. Like,
Exactly.
as a backup point guard, he's NBA ready. So I don't know. I want to see Kolek this year.
I mean, he's proven that to be correct. He's
Yeah.
proven that to be correct so far. Again, I hate to say summer league, but you saw it in summer league with the way he was running that team, and you saw a little glimpse, tonight in the preseason. So, Kola looks like he's for real. We're not gonna crown him, the greatest point guard up and coming yet, but look, he's shown that he has the tools to succeed. So I'm excited for him, man.
Likewise. All right. So kind of going back to the starting lineup, Chris, OG Anunoby. Does it just rely on health with him? Does he just stay healthy, OG? Because we already know what he does on the court. We already know that, he's a menace on the defensive end, one of the best NBA wing defenders. Does it just simply rely on health with him?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so. I feel like that's the only knock you can have on OG Anunoby. He still has untapped potential when it comes to his offensive side, and defensively, he's just a menace. He's elite. He's everywhere on that court, and he can change the game single-handedly just with his defense. So when it comes to OG Anunoby, it's literally keeping him on the court.
Yeah, it is. And yeah, I think it just comes down to health with him. I mean, we saw what he did versus the Pacers, dominant versus that game 2 in Madison Square Garden. Just an all-around gifted player. It just comes down to health with him. I don't know, 70 games in the cards with OG. Hasn't done that since, I think, his rookie season. But I think now with the addition of Mikal, like we were talking about, you can kind of play OG less and kind of stagger them a little bit, so you don't really have to rely on him that much. Because I think when Tom Thibodeau and the Knicks acquired him, it's like they had this like, ooh, this new toy, and this new toy was like so good, best defensive team, running over every single team in January. But I think now Mikal kind of gives them kind of like makes them step back and be like, okay, we don't really have to rely on OG that much. But one area where I think the Knicks are going to ask a lot from OG Anunoby this year is his rebounding. I think they're going to need him to rebound the ball more. And because I think that's where the Knicks are, if there's any area where I think the Knicks are going to kind of take a step back, is the rebounding. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And we saw that tonight. We saw OG Anunoby out there. He got 6 rebounds, 1 offensive, got 2 blocks, which that's part of OG's MO, right? Elite defender. It's going to get blocks, it's going to get steals.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I think with the, having Mikal Bridges gives us the luxury now that we don't have to run OG Anunoby out there for 40 minutes every single game. So we got a lot of guys that we can mix and match and kind of, if the situation calls for it and we need Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby out there, then they'll be there. So I think that's going to do a lot for OG Anunoby as far as his health. We'll kind of be able to save him in a sense, just not play him as much. But again, these injuries he's had with the Knicks were kind of all like kind of freak accidents,
Yeah.
So the hamstring thing, obviously, that's just a bummer. But OG Anunoby is the key piece on a defensive end for us, for the New York Knicks, and it's going to come down to him staying healthy. I hate to say it, but even with Mikal Bridges, I think he's just that key piece.
Yeah. So do I. So do I. Tony, what's going on in the chat? Appreciate you in here. Tony says Kolek is going to win MSG's fan favorite. I feel like Lynn Sanity with Tyler Kolek. Lynn Sanity with Tyler Kolek.
Lynn Sanity without the drama, man. Without all the drama.
I don't know. So if Kolek can come in here and just, provide that little spark, I love what I saw from Kolek. Don't know if Lynn Sanity's in the cards, though. That was a crazy time. He also says, y'all thoughts on TJ Warren because he can ball too and plays defense. He didn't get in the game today. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the Knicks have kind of look Marcus Morris. I think they reached out to him, but Morris declined on a camp invite. So T.J. Warren is kind of that veteran who came bounced around a lot. I mean, we all know him from his time in the bubble where he was like a scoring menace. He could score the rock. He's like this like Alec Burks kind of like clone a little bit. He looks same mannerism, same everything. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, these are just guys that kind of just fill your roster, round out your roster, Chris. I don't think he will be, called upon. Only if there's an injury, of course. But
Yeah. I like TJ Warren a lot. I did watch him some when he was with the Pacers in those days. He's a good player. He's a good vet. And like you mentioned, Marcus Morris obviously did not accept the Knicks invite to come back. Obviously was feeling some type of way, which sucks because I still think there was a great spot for him there to bring that toughness that we're gonna miss out without having Julius here. So, TJ Warren, good vet, kind of like in an emergency if you need somebody, and he could still get a bucket, So I kind of wanted to see him out there tonight. Was kind of surprised that he wasn't, but again, it's only the first game of the preseason, so maybe the next one he gets, his first taste in the Knicks jersey.
yeah. So speaking of kind of veterans on this team, campaign tonight played quite a bit, and he's in the rotation. Look, the rotation is like Payne, Deuce, and Shamet off the bench, and Shamet kind of like. Remember I told you last time about Shamet being like that great value Dante?
Discount Devo.
Yeah, him being like the off-brand Oreos. You know how you go into the store, there's the Oreos brand, and there's like great value Oreos in Walmart. Shamet can kind of like be that, not Dante, but definitely not Dante. Don't get me. He's not Dante. I don't want anyone coming in here saying I think Shamet is Dante. But we saw in the first preseason game how the quick catch and shoot stuff is important in this offense. The high basketball IQ, the cuts, the rebounding, his defense also. So, and he's also been like around veterans, around super teams kind of with the Suns. So Campaign and Shamet, are you concerned that the Knicks are going to rely on those two off the bench? Do you think like there's going to be some nights where they just don't have it? I mean, that's a given, but yeah.
I mean, there's definitely going to be some nights where they don't have it, but I did like what I saw from Landry Shamet. I mean, I did not expect anything at all. I mean, if you go back to his stats with the Wizards again, I think he shot the lowest percentage from three that he's shot in his entire career. So it looked like his game was on the decline.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying he's going to have some sort of revelation and become, the second coming of Dante, but he showed out. He showed out tonight, man. 16 points, had 2 steals, and assists.
Yeah.
4 boards, 1 offensive, 4 from 8 from 3, which is welcome. Again, we lost Dante DiVincenzo, obviously, to acquire Karl Anthony Towns. And we're going to miss that 3-point shooting that Dante gave us. Like you mentioned, a lot of times Dante would bail us out with these crazy threes, just grabs the ball, throws it up, and it goes in.
Yeah.
Can we expect the same from Landry Shamet? I don't think so. But it could be just enough to, kind of weather the storm.
Yes. So, that's one area where I think a lot of Knicks fans are kind of like nervous about, but everyone, calm down, take a step back. We're going to be okay.
Especially when you see Dante going 4 for 4 right off the rip for the Wolves, right?
Yeah, let's not talk about that. But I think we didn't see the proper rotations tonight. I think you're going to see a lot of Mikal with the second bench unit. You're going to see a lot of OG Anunoby with the second bench unit. You're going to see a lot of mixing and matches from Tom Thibodeau. And it's going to take some time. I mean, it is. Point blank. I mean, and you can say like right off the gate, the Knicks have this tough 10-game stretch. And look, I know when it's all said and done, Chris, when we reach, let's say February, March, April, I think we're going to be clicking on all cylinders. And I think that is when the New York Knicks are going to become scary. But it is going to take some time. And Mainly, it's going to take time for Mikal and OG to kind of find their spots in the offensive end. Not worried about Cat, but and the bench too. So it will take some time. Tony in the chat says Kolek and McBride is going to be the backcourt for this team. Off the bench, Shamit and Precious. Look, the thing about Campaign is that he's a veteran. So even if, let's say, Kolek replaces him, he's not going to sit there and pout. I mean, he's been around the league. He's been bounced around from team to team. So let's say one day Kolek all of a sudden replaces him in the rotation, which I wouldn't be surprised. Payne can sit on the bench and just come in a big spot like we saw him with the 76ers. So
yeah,
but I do like Payne. This is not us saying we don't like Campaign. I do think he will bring that veteran leadership to this team. I do.
No, yeah. I was one where I was obviously when we signed Campaign, I was still a little bit salty from the Sixers series, but look, Campaign, he came out there tonight and he was trying to be aggressive. He was attacking. Obviously, he took a lot of threes, only hit one of them. But that one came at you could call it a crucial point of the game. I mean, it's preseason, but, I think he's going to be fine. And I actually like his game a lot. He was dishing the rock, had 6 assists. So I think he's going to be just fine, whether Kolek takes his spot or not. I wouldn't be so sure because, Mikal Bridges, I think he was one of the first to come off the floor, right?
Yeah.
So I think it makes a lot of sense with
stagger Mikal with them.
Exactly. Campaign, Mikal Bridges, and Landry Shamet, all guys who have played together and have chemistry. So I think that's where you're going to see Mikal Bridges kind of get his points, Will he get his spots here and there with the starters? Obviously, yes. But I think that's where he's going to do his damage as well, where he could kind of take that lead offensive role type of guy.
Yeah, I do. And that's where I think Mikal will shine the most. When he's playing with the deuce, where he's playing with the bench unit, where he's kind of being that lead guy. Now, it won't be for long spurts because I do think Tom Thibodeau wants Cat and Brunson on the same court as much as possible. Because we saw tonight, I mean, there was some moments, Chris, tonight where it's just it looked like they've been playing together for quite some time. I mean, the space is going to open up so much for Brunson, and we saw that kind of in the first preseason game. I mean, you're going to have to guard the perimeter, and you're going to have to stay with Cat, stay with OG, stay with Mikal. Josh Hart can kind of be that floater, but yeah, all in all, man, I'm excited. I am. I mean, we've been saying it for a while now, but now that we finally see the product on the court, we finally can judge certain things and see where the Knicks can improve at and see different areas where things can improve, and you can always improve. But
yeah, it'll get better. It'll definitely get better. This was just a small little sample of what's to come, in my opinion. And I'm more excited for the 2-man game between Cat and Jalen Brunson. Yeah. I mean, I think I saw it early on. I think JB had the ball up by the perimeter and Cat was just there wide open, at the top. And he was kind of like, give me the ball. And JB kind of hesitated because, let's be real, there hasn't been a Knick who can stretch the floor like that from the 5 spot. I mean, it hasn't been there JB's entire tenure here with the Knicks. So he hesitated, gave it to him. But, obviously Cat didn't hit that one. It was a little bit late, in my opinion. He probably got his rhythm all messed up. But yeah, that's what we're going to see. And that's exactly what's going to help us compete with teams like Boston. We have that ability now to stretch the floor with the 5. And, it's going to be awesome offensively once the Knicks figure it out.
And Josh Hart will just be that kind of roaming guy who wants to, I mean, he said in the training camp that he wants to attempt more threes and he wants to up his 3-point percentage. But I want to see that. I truly do, but I'm not when in terms of threes with Josh Hart, Chris, I'm not really concerned about it. Can he hit the 3? Yeah. But I don't know. I just want him to do all the dirty stuff, man. I just want him to grab the loose balls and dive on the floor and grab the offensive boards. And the Knicks don't need him to be this scorer. They don't. They kind of need him to just pretty much keep things together in the starting lineup. So, yeah.
I agree. And the more I thought about it, I didn't want Hart in the starting lineup at all. I felt like his energy would have been better off the bench, but after seeing early on at least, he just fits right in with these guys. If you really think about it, he pushes the pace at all times. And what better than Josh Hart to grab the board on one side, push the pace, and look for somebody who's open on the other end. That's something that's his bread and butter. And I think at times when teams are going to be expecting Josh Hart to pass that ball, we all know he could take it coast to coast and finish in the paint. So I think it actually fits in perfectly well because you also don't want a lot of guys just roaming around the perimeter and nobody actually attacking the rim. So I think in that aspect, Josh Hart fits really well with the starters.
And I'm already seeing in the chat a lot of people want Josh Hart to come off the bench. Steven says I'd rather start Shamit and Brunson in the backcourt. Jabroni in the chat. I called it first. Shamit is a bootleg Devo. I think he should start over Hart. It strengthens the bench, putting Hart in his proper place. Deuce, Hart, Precious, and eventually Mitch is a solid bench. Yeah, that's the X factor, right? Is the Mitchell Robinson thing. Like if Mitchell Robinson comes back, don't put it past Dibs to just put him on the bench. I do think there could be a world where he starts alongside Karl-Anthony Towns, and that will put Josh Hart on the bench. So Knicks have options, but like we just said, Hart is kind of that guy that kind of just molds everything together. You want him to do the dirty stuff, the diving on the floor. He's just that true glue guy.
Yeah.
He's the heart and soul. That is the heart and soul of this starting lineup, right? So
Absolutely.
we had amazing moments. I know people like to be reactionary. It's one preseason game. I mean, he was probably playing 50% out there. Like these guys are not going to play their like entire full self until game one versus Boston Celtics. Yeah. So
when the games matter.
Yeah. So I mean, I kind of was like wavering about Hart, but it just they need him because of the rebounding, Chris. I mean, I keep going back to it that they need him. The rebounding, I think, is going to be important for this team. So
yeah, that's why he will be there, in my opinion. And I think going back to the Mitch situation, whenever he does come back, I think it's going to depend. I don't think it's a lock that we'll probably see Mitch and Towns playing together. You know,
you don't.
I think it depends on how Towns looks early on in the season at the 5. You know, if he's playing defense well enough, if he's still being obviously offensively, he's going to score. But if he's able to defend and play the position well and do what the team is looking for from that spot, that's where I think you see Mitchell Robinson kind of go back to that bench role he had when Ihart had taken his spot.
Yeah.
So I think it's not a given per se. We'll see those two, Towns and Mitch playing together, but again, that's probably a good problem to have if you needed to run the two of them out there.
It is, and even if Mitch, like when Mitch comes back, even if he was to come off the bench, there will be situations where he is going to play with Karl-Anthony Towns. Like say the next matchup with, the 76ers. I mean, you would want Mitchell Robinson on Embiid. I mean, he's shown in the past that he can give Embiid just bother him a little bit, give him some issues a little bit. Yeah. And we need to have revenge, too, for what Embiid did to Mitch. But, yeah, look.
Again, man.
Huh?
We'll probably just do it again, give him a leg drop to his kneecap or something. Who knows?
Nah. Yeah, I know. Like last week when the trades were going down, a lot of people were like, Mitch, you're next. You're out of here. But
it seemed that way. It sure as hell seemed that way.
It did. But as like the dust is kind of settling, you're kind of thinking to yourself, like, we need Mitch on this team.
Yeah.
His offensive rebounding is going to be missed. His shot rim protection is going to be missed. And you kind of need another 7-foot big man on the team. So, yeah. I know a lot of people were like, get this social media guy out of here. But, like, I mean, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I mean, he's not projected to come back until January, but I think we need him still.
That sucks, but I think Mitch is going to be important. He's going to be just as important as anybody else, because obviously, again, like we mentioned before, offensive rebounding, rim protection, that's Mitch to a T. So, hell, if that's from the bench, I think that's an awesome problem to have. Now, getting Mitch healthy, that's a whole nother thing. But, hopefully hopefully this is a different trend for Mitch, where he's injured early and then he's able to finish out the rest of the season.
I like that. Some optimism regarding that. All right. So, yeah. So, Knicks basketball is back. Kind of saw their first preseason game, kind of reset the room a little bit. Now we're just going through the season outlook, what we expect from the team. And, it's going to be a fun season. Season starts in a few weeks here, but it's going to be a fun season, man. I mean, watching the Cat, we saw a glimpse of Cat and Brunson kind of do their two-man game today. We saw, Mikel. It's going to take some time for him to kind of fit in the offense. And OG Anunoby. I mean, those are kind of like the complementary pieces in the starting lineup that can also score at a high rate and have proven they can score at a high rate. So, the offense is mainly going to run through Brunson and Cat, which is why I think the Knicks can be a top five offensive team in the NBA because of the complementary pieces. So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
Yeah. And again, you saw early on I was actually shocked to see a lot of the offense run through Cat so early in this preseason game. So
yeah,
in the future, that bodes well for what we were talking about previously, where will Cat kind of fill that void that iHeart left with his passing from that spot. So that's a resounding yes. So a lot of it went through Cat. Cat showed off some passing. More specifically, one in early on to OG Anunoby, where OG Anunoby was cutting to the basket and I guess just didn't expect to get the basketball and got surprised, grabbed the ball, got blocked. Ugly sequence, but just goes to show you that Cat is a underrated passer, man, for a big guy. So I'm excited for that.
That was a play where OG Anunoby, I think he kind of twisted his ankle. Yeah, I mean, but that will come. Right? You say he got surprised, but these guys have only had like 2 practices together. So
exactly,
and he's coming from a different conference. That will all click. Like Cat will probably either go through the film and just get it right. I mean, OG Anunoby. One thing I know about Anunoby is he's a great finisher at the rim. He can yam it on you like he did on Embiid. So, but yeah, I just as a first preseason game, I love what we saw from Cat. And it's not just the scoring, like we talked about in his player preview. It was the passing and the back to the basket stuff. He's a problem. 7-foot guy, he's a problem for opposing defenses. So, success. First preseason game success. And, of course, we got the dub. Got a little dicey at the end, but we got the dub. I think, Dwayne Washington missed those free throws at the end. That was hilarious. But, and you saw OG Anunoby cheering on the bench, and the guys, the aura around the team seems like everyone's in good spirits. The vibes are high.
Yeah, man. Do you think that was a little gift there for Dwayne Washington? He's like, yo, those are my boys over there. Let me just, let's start this preseason right for them over there. Let me just break these real quick.
I don't think it was, but I think the moment just got too big for him, honestly. But yeah, hit some of these comments in the chat. Appreciate every single one of you. Nostalgia says Cat got to the free throw line. Yeah, we didn't even touch on that. Yeah, Cat, another thing he can do is get to the free throw line, and we talked about how great of a free throw shooter he is. I mean, 86, 87% free throw shooter. I think he shot last year. So gets to the free throw line, can do it all. Just a great player, all-star. And we saw that tonight. So more of what we saw tonight, we're going to see even more when the season starts.
Yeah, another underrated thing about Cat, right? That he's able to put the ball on the floor and kind of, create for himself. So drawing fouls, I think he gets like 6 or 7, he averages. So that's going to help us tremendously. And the fact that he can actually hit his free throws it's going to be a blessing from the 5 spot, man. I know Mitch has improved over the years, and obviously iHeart was pretty steady, but no iHeart now. So having Cat taking those would be a breath of fresh air. I'll just put it that way.
Man, oh man, I remember some of those playoff games where the Knicks just couldn't knock down their free throws and just scratching my head. But like you said, breath of fresh air. Beeman Boy in the chat, the whole system was kind of off. A couple of games should be okay. Then he says preseason. Then he says bench was decent. Yeah, I mean, the great thing is the whole thing, the starters were, look, 40% of the starting lineup is new. Like Mikel is new and Cat is new. It's going to take some time. But we also saw some good things from them. We also saw some good things, which is a step in the right direction because it can only go up from here. And those guys are super talented. And the bench, has been the concern for Knicks fans, but the bench, they played well. And that's led by Deuce McBride. I mean, we opened up this podcast talking about Deuce McBride, how I think this man is going to have another great season for this Knicks team. And sixth man of the year, that's not out of the realm of possibilities for Deuce McBride because that's how talented this guy is. He is. And look at the contract that he's got him on.
Amazing.
Playoff performer, no fear, just awesome player, Deuce McBride. And he's got to kind of be the glue on the bench that can kind of make things run. So I'm oh man, Deuce. And we even heard Deuce chants in the Hornets arena, which is kind of crazy. They travel. Knicks fans gotta love them.
Knicks fans travel even in the preseason, right? That was awesome hearing the Deuce chants. But yeah, man, Deuce he's balling out, man. Ever since last season, especially in the playoffs where he was ready for the moment, right?
Yeah.
He sees that moment and he's picking up where he left off. I mean, 22 points, 4 of 9 from 3, 3 assists, a steal. Look, he's growing right before our eyes, and he's on an amazing contract at that. I mean, what more could you ask for from Deuce McBride? But he keeps improving. So, early on, we were talking about campaign and all the guards and will they take Deuce's minutes? I think it's pretty clear that campaign and Deuce are going to be playing alongside each other, So there goes that.
I do think that's gonna happen, but I do think Tom Thibodeau didn't show his rotations. I think, like we said earlier,
I think you're going to see a lot of it, to be honest.
really, you think so?
I do. They played really well. I mean,
They
the
did.
energy was just there. It was
did.
great, and that's the thing that I think you want from your bench unit.
Yeah,
You want that energy.
yeah, they did play well, and I think now I want to see Deuce with Mikal and lineups like that. But I mean, Deuce can just look. There's Knicks fans who think Deuce should be starting, but that's how good he is. You can plug and play him anywhere. I mean, last season him and Jalen Brunson were awesome together. The Knicks lineups with Deuce McBride and Jalen Brunson, there's a reason why those lineups were successful. And he's just that jack of all trades type of player. Defense, offense took a major step forward last year, and it's going to be another great year for Deuce McBride this year. So, sixth man of the year. Put it on the board. I'm calling it.
Oh man, I can see it happening, man. If he continues playing like this, how can you rule that out?
Joel says Brunson and Cat will get multiple 50-point games along with wins. That would be cool. That would be crazy if that happened. Nostalgic's on the Kolek train. Kolek and Deuce and Shamit is dangerous. Yeah, and look, Kolek is kind of like that wild card. We don't know what Tom Thibodeau is thinking regarding Tyler Kolek, but what we've seen from the Rook, especially in Game 1 of the preseason, was awesome. Block a shot, then come down and nail the three. I mean, you don't really I didn't really expect much from him, but hey, sign me up. Like I've said earlier, I'm on the Kolek train.
It's good. It's a good problem to have, in my opinion.
It is.
We're all thinking about how are these guys going to get minutes, and I don't think Kolek will get minutes to start, but again, we were worried about the bench. We were worried about the depth, especially missing Dante now, but I think, look, again, it's only one preseason game, but I like what I'm seeing so far from the bench unit.
Yes, indeed. Likewise. All right. So somebody in the chat said the Timberwolves and the Knicks, they actually play each other, I think, next week. So Julius Randle's coming to town and Dante DiVincenzo's coming to town. Well, I don't know, when you saw them in this, when you saw Randle and Dante in the Timberwolves jersey, it just looked weird, right?
Weird, especially Dante, man. He looks like, I mean, now he has the full beard and everything. It looks like a completely different person. But I mean, even seeing Randall right here holding up the Timberwolves 30 jersey is weird, man. But he calls it the trade to Minnesota a breath of fresh air. So, Look, we all know it's hard to play in New York. Julius was game for it, obviously. But you can't help but wonder. He must be feeling, like a big weight off his back, pretty much, in my opinion. But he's gonna be missed, man. I'm probably one of the few that's like Julius. I think Julius still could have taken us to a championship, along with the other guys on this team.
This is one of one of those trades where I think both teams kind of like where they're at, and both teams kind of made out in their situations. I think the Timberwolves will make out good, and the Knicks will make out good. But
Yeah.
you had the Randall contract, and it was funny during media day. Brunson couldn't talk about the trade. He said who was Carl, and then those guys are. You already see them on the bench, kind of forming that chemistry. It's good that these guys are in Charleston, and they have to be together. I mean, they're in a hotel in Charleston, and they're not. I mean, they're flying back to New York now, but it's good that the Knicks have been traveling during these training camps to kind of form some chemistry with the guys, and you're going to see that off the court because that translates to on the court stuff. And in a very pivotal year, it's good to form chemistry early, and we saw it right off the gate with Brunson and Cat. I mean, I don't know. You saw that, and then if they can just go off from there. So
Yeah, man. I think like you said, it was a great trade for both teams.
Yeah.
One of those rare trades where it actually helps both teams. I'm still a little bit iffy on the fit for Julius with the Wolves, but I guess you know what, that's their problem to figure out. But look, I'm excited. I'm excited for having Cal on this team. Still not thrilled about his contract, but it is what it is. I'll leave it at that.
Rodriguez, salute from Portugal. Much love across the A. Salute from Portugal. Appreciate you joining, hopping in here, giving us your time on this Sunday evening. I don't even know what time it is in Portugal. So Sunday, Monday, just appreciate you in the chat. Supporting as well. Just going over a little bit of the preseason, then we're going over the next season outlook, what we think will come from this Knicks team, and just good things, build off of the preseason games. Go into the regular season, tough opponent right off the gate in Boston. You already know that whatever the outcome is, people are gonna either go crazy or gonna be like, "This is terrible." But
it'll be a nice test early on.
It will, and it will take time. But I'm willing to say that it's gonna take some time. I know a lot of Knicks fans are, they want to see it now, but new starting lineup kind of with Mikal and Cat, so it's going to take some time for the guys to adjust, and we just go from there. Also, it's going to take time for some of the guys to get their conditioning. Tom Thibodeau said the conditioning could be a little bit better. Not sure who he's talking about there, but we back. That's all I know.
Could be OG.
Knicks are back. OG does look like he gained a little weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just maybe he just gained more muscle per se, because sometimes when you gain muscle, you kind of get that full kind of look to you. But I could be wrong, right? He could have just had way too much cheesecake.
But I think it's his hamstring. I think he was rehabbing his hamstring and couldn't really maybe get in his full off-season workout. But he does look like he gained a little weight considering what he looked like last year. But like Tom Thibodeau says, the conditioning will take some time. And, I'm not worried about OG Anunoby. Just stay healthy, bro. That's it, bro.
Nah, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. I don't think it's not like he gained 300 pounds or anything like that.
It's not like that. But look, it's gonna take some time for everything and this is what preseason is for. But anything else you wanted to touch on? Anything else you saw from this preseason game, or what you want to see from the guys, Mikal or?
No, I mean, some news that came, earlier on. I mean, this past week, Patrick Ewing is now a part of the Knicks front office.
Yes, sir.
He has been hired as a basketball ambassador for the Knicks. And just to kind of read you some of his thoughts on the new position, he said, "As I said, the day my number 33 jersey lifted into the rafters at MSG, I will always be a Knick and I will always be a New Yorker. I can't wait to get started in this new position and to officially be back with the organization I love so much. The Garden has always been my home, And I'm looking forward to working with team president Leon Rose, coach Tom Thibodeau, the team, and everyone else that makes this place so special. So I think that's awesome having Patrick Ewing back in the front office where he belongs
Yes.
with the New York Knicks. So that was some awesome news. Had to bring it up.
Awesome, great news that Patrick Ewing is back, especially, now that we have a big man like Cat. I mean, even Cat reposted a picture of him and Patrick Ewing. If I can grab it, I'll show you guys in the chat. But basketball ambassador, a lot of Knicks fans wanted the Knicks to hire him when his name was being bounced around as a head coaching position. But they went with Tom Thibodeau. But it's just awesome to have Pat in the building. He's been at Knicks games supporting, and hopefully we can get him a ring. Hopefully we can get Patrick Ewing that ring, right?
That'd be awesome, man. That's the goal, man. That is the goal, to win that championship. And now Patrick at the front office, man, like you said, has the chance to get that ring with us.
He does. And let me just pull this image. So this is what Karl Anthony Towns reposted on his Instagram. It's Cat and Karl Anthony Towns. I think this was from his Minnesota days, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I mean, he's just, everyone's excited to get Patrick Ewing back in the building and just be around the team and he was around the team during the playoff season. We saw him at the games. So yeah, shout out to Patrick Ewing. Patrick Ewing is back.
33
is back. Hopefully, we can have relive some of those moments with Cat.
That'd be great.
It would be great. Tony says, I want Cat to be more of a dog. Gotta have that grit. I do. I don't know, Chris. You want to answer this one?
I think Cat, obviously, we've all heard all the rumblings about Cat being soft and just, getting punked out left and right, and when he was in Minnesota. But, it's kind of funny, actually. You're seeing reports out there saying that, hey, Cat isn't soft. So again, I don't know if that's just, people are coming to Cat's defense now saying that he's not soft. And look, we're going to see it one way or the other, right? He's on the Knicks. We're going to see. Does he step up in these moments when he has to defend his teammates? Does he back down? Does he just run and stay on the bench? I think he's going to stand up for his teammates, I think he's going to be fine. I think that stigma, will it go away? No, but I think it's kind of overrated.
Here's what I have to say about the Cat, that whole stigma around him. I think it's total. I think it's false. I think the national media has kind of like fed into that a little bit, and the memes going around with Cat have kind of made him seem like this soft guy. But yeah. I think I was listening to a podcast. I forgot who it was. I think it was Austin Reeves. He has his own podcast. He's been bouncing around, and he said that he's been texting Cat, and Cat has a chip on his shoulder. He was shocked by the trade, and he says that Cat wants to have a great year. So I think he wants to have a great year and show Minnesota that they were wrong in trading him. And I think that Knicks fans are going to fall in love with him. And I just think that whole stigma is kind of like, I don't know. I just want to win, man. Like, I don't care. Like, I really don't.
At the end of the day, we want to win. We're aiming for a championship. And if Cat brings us a championship, whether he's being tough or not, either way, I'll take it. So that's the goal, right? That's the goal.
Is Tatum tough? Is Brown tough? Is Porzingis? Porzingis is like a.
I mean, if you can act it, right?
Yeah,
that's the thing. Nobody knows. Whether it's an act or they're actually about it. Nobody's gonna try to throw fists in the NBA. Nobody wants to get suspended. Nobody wants to lose money. So I just think it's overblown and it's pointless in my opinion.
Yeah. 718 Fresh. We Nigerians feed off energy. OG. I think Dot look hungry or don't look hungry. I don't know what you said, Dot or don't. Tony says 17-8 first 25 games, while y'all have first 25. Tony, that's tough. Let's go to the first 10. I think I had the Knicks at like 7-3 in the first 10, but it's a tough schedule, Chris.
That's with Cat or before the trade?
That was before the trade. I can try to pull it up now, and then we can kind of like just go through it. But damn, what do you say? 17-8 for 28 games. Sign me up for that.
17-8, first 25 games. I mean, that sounds great. I think we're gonna. It's gonna take some time for them to gel. I think it is gonna take some time for them to gel. I'll probably say something like, I don't know, 15-10.
15-10. Let me see if I
I'd
can
have
pull
to
up
go.
the.
I'd have to go through the matchups to say for sure.
All right, you want to go game by game? Let me see if I can share my screen. Give me a second here. Bear with me for a second, please. Tony got me doing extra work here. Do you see the schedule? Is the schedule on the screen?
Yeah,
But you're not on the screen.
I'm lost.
Let me. This is bad. Like, all right, Chris.
I'm back.
There you go. So at Boston, what we got?
I'm gonna say that's a win. I still think we're gonna pull off that
You
win.
think we're gonna ruin ring night at Boston?
No Porzingis, right?
Yeah, no Porzingis.
I
Look, at
think
Boston versus Indiana versus Cleveland, at Miami. Those are your first 4 games. Those are 4 of the teams in the Eastern Conference that are going to be possibly in the top 8. So you got to get tested right off the bat. That's a tough stretch, but the Knicks are striving to be a great team. And look, I would look at Boston versus Indiana versus Cleveland, at Miami, at Detroit in those first 5 games. If the Knicks go, like, give me like 3-2, like give me 3-2, 4-1 would be great, but give me 3-2 in those first 5, right?
Yeah.
Are you gonna complain? Like, I'm not. I mean, it's gonna take
No.
time on the offensive end.
3-2. I was thinking 3-2.
And then at Houston, at Atlanta, versus Milwaukee, at Indiana, and at Philadelphia. So, I mean, at Houston, at Indiana, we own the Hawks. Milwaukee, Indiana, at Philly. Look, 7-3, Chris, 6-4. I'm not gonna go crazy because it's everything is new, and it's gonna take some time for the guys to gel. And after that, it gets a little bit easier with the double Brooklyns, but it's a tough test. But I'm ready for it. Bring it on.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree. I think it's gonna take time, but I could see us going. I'm gonna stick to like 15. I'm gonna stick to 15-10. I just think there's gonna be some nights where it's gonna look a little messy, and other nights where it's gonna look fantastic. But it's gonna take some time early on. And hell, you saw with the Heat, right? When the Heat first came up with Chris Bosh, Wade, and LeBron, it took them. I mean, they were losing to horrible teams. So, not saying that's gonna be us per se, but I do think it's gonna take some time.
Yeah, and look, it took them some time to get it going. I think they lost in their first year in the NBA Finals and came right back. But not comparing the teams, but at Boston versus Indiana versus Cleveland, at Miami, tough 4 games to open up the season. But bring it on, man. Bring it on. We're spoiling ring night. That's all I know. Just give me at Boston with a win, opening night.
I want that one.
It's the first game of the season. Just give me that.
That's the one that I want, man. They're gonna get their rings and all that, and then let's just put something on the back of their minds to think about down the road.
Yeah, man. Could you imagine? I mean, Knicks pull out that win. I mean, everyone's gonna overreact the next day, but
Absolutely, that night we're gonna see.
Oh yeah.
The sea of people in the city, and hopefully not to the extreme that we saw in the past, but I'm sure it will be that way regardless.
Yes, sir. All right. Appreciate every single one of you in here. Before we wrap up, HRM says Cat gets moved easily is what I see. He needs to work on that more upper body core. I don't know. He's talking about Cat on the defensive end getting moved easily. Look, just something to watch, something to build on, something to work with. Look, Cat is. Can he get moved easily? Can he? But he's tough down there. I mean, he's not like this great defender, Chris, but
Yeah.
he's very handsy. Like, he pokes the ball out here and there. He gets in the passing lanes. If you watch tonight, there was a couple of times where he poked the ball.
Yeah.
If he can use his hands more and kind of help him, that's what he's been doing throughout his career. He's very handsy in terms of that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Unfortunately, that's part of the reason. That's one of the things that gets me nervous when it comes to Cat, because that's the reason why I feel like he gets into foul trouble.
Yeah.
You know, because he does try to get those steals, tries to poke the ball out or strip the other bigs. And, you know, once you do that swiping motion, you know, 8 times out of 10, it's a foul call. So, you know, I would like to see Cat kind of throw his body more around and, you know, instead of just swiping at the ball. But again, we'll see. We'll see.
Tony says 101, 100, buzzer beater, Knicks win. Bridges for the win. Hey, man, sign me up. If that happens, I'll go crazy. But
I think the Knicks are bringing back Evan Fournier just for the first game against the Celtics.
Fournier, the Celtic killer.
Fournier's not even in the NBA anymore, actually, right?
No, he's not. He's overseas. Fournier is
Hey,
overseas.
there's something nobody thought they were going to hear on this pod. Evan Fournier's name.
Right? We didn't think we were gonna talk about that, but yeah, I'm excited, man. This is a great, you know, upcoming stretch that the Knicks have time to build on. They're gonna get back in their training facility in Tarrytown, and things are gonna kind of get it settled down, and we just go from there. Things are going to take time, so next preseason game we might see more actions with Cat, and I'm just excited for that. I hope the season's gonna be a great season, all in all, and yeah, I think this is it, Chris. I think this is the year. I don't know.
There's going to be growing pains, that's for sure.
They will.
As long as we're ready come playoff time,
That's it.
I'll be happy. That's when it gets real.
That's it. All right. Anything else we wanted to touch on before we head up on out of here?
No, I think we're good, man.
Yeah. Hey, this was fun. Appreciate every single one of you tuning in, giving us your time this Sunday evening. Hopped on the post game after the game and hopped on this live stream after. So, doing it all. A little bit tired. I'm going to go to sleep now. Appreciate every single one of you. Subscribe to the channel. As always, it is Let's Go Knicks. I'm Anthony from Knicks Nation. I'll catch you guys next time.
Peace.
Peace.